Restful shows with validations. This should look pretty familiar to you guys because we did do a whiteboarding deal with that last week. So let's take a look at the requirements here. Here they are. So we've got this semi-restful shows wireframe here, and it looks like we've got 4 different templates that we're going to have to do. And then I also see that we're going to have 2 different forms we need to process as well. So if I'm just eyeballing this, how many views functions do you think I might need?
8? 4? No, 8. 4, 8. Show it.
We're hearing all kinds of different things. 4, 8.
Yeah, probably 8.
Okay.
Oh, wait. 1, 2,
9.
3, 4, 5.
9. Wow, that's a lot. What are you thinking for the 9?
Well, I'm thinking 4 HTMLs.
Okay.
I'm thinking you need a function for. Do you not need one for show, edit, and delete? The 3.
Well, so for edit is actually just this page, right? So we don't want to double count that. So that's already a template.
Okay.
So that was part of the original form.
I thought you need a function if it's like you're directing it to. Oh, but it already has it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
Yeah. So the edit function is really just going to render that page, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those 2 then, show and delete.
Okay.
No, but show would also direct to the one on the bottom as well, right?
Yeah. So this one is just a view, simple
Details.
view. We don't really need to worry about that. So I've got 4 plus 1 for processing this form up here, right? To create a new one, and then I also have to process this form down here to edit an existing one. So that's 6. Plus, I noticed that there's a little delete link in there, right? So how many total do we have? 7. Yeah. And I know that delete one's going to be pretty easy. I mean, potentially like a 2-line function, something like that, right? Okay. So what I want to do today is actually really go step by step in the sense that we don't want to sort of build a whole bunch of stuff and then get lost in the shuffle. I want to make sure that we do one thing at a time so that there's no confusion, right?
So,
And then,
sorry, how many
Good.
URLs then would you have?
well, you're going to have the same number of URLs as view functions, right? So if we have 7 view functions, that means we should have 7 URLs. Okay. So rather than write a whole bunch of stuff, let's make sure that we get one page built, and then at that point we can move on to maybe processing the form. All right. So let's get into it here. I'm going to start a new project. What do we need to do?
Environment. Gotta get the environment going.
Wow, it looks like my environment is going, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's pretty cool. So let's create our project, right? Django admin, start project. We'll call it Semi-Restful. Okay. And then let's code Semi-Restful. Whoops. All right, boom, boom. Now I'm going to open up my terminal again. Oh, shoot, my environment has been lost. All right. So let's fix that up. Let's go source. I'm going to go up a couple levels into my environments. Django, bin, activate. Okay. So now that I have my project, what else do I need to create? My actual app, right? So we'll say Python manage.py start app. I'll call it main. There it is. Good. I need to do what next so that my project is aware of this? Put it in the settings, right? Oops, not in here. Inside here, settings, installed apps, somewhere around here. Oh, there they are. There. Okay. Main. Good deal. What do we want to do next, you think? I'm thinking maybe we should head into our models. What do you think?
Migrate.
I mean, because basically our whole app is going to depend on the models, right? So it would almost be kind of silly to start building out the pages. I don't even have any data, right? All right. So let's take a quick look at that. So according to the wireframe, each show is going to have a few different fields attached to it. We've got a title, we've got a network, a release date, and a description. All right. I propose let's not deal with validations until we get all this stuff built out. If that works for you guys. All right, we'll leave that. That's like the icing on the cake. All right. Are they easy? Depends who you talk to. Some might say yes, some might say no.
For me, it was like little simple things. That like it was had instead of like I had models instead of models manager, and that came out.
Oh yes.
So it's stupid stuff.
There you go. All right, guys. So let's create a show class, and what's that going to inherit from? Models.model. Very good. We know we're going to have this title field. So let's say that's a char field. Yeah, sure. Equals. Okay, and then we want to have a network, I think, right? Network. Okay, so I'll just duplicate that down. Let's say network. All right, and then we want to have a release date. That's going to be a date field. Yeah, we don't need the time component for it, right? We just need to know what the date was. Okay, and then finally we want a description. So I'll put description models.text field. Okay, and then we want our timestamps as well. So I'm going to use my little user snippet on this guy. You guys can too if you've put the user snippet in there. And that's it. That looks pretty good, right? Anything I need to change before we migrate this? Looks pretty good. Legit indeed. All right. So let's clear this out. Python manage.py make migrations. Python manage.py migrate. All right, we're done. So now let's get our URLs going, right? How do we want to do this? Because I've got some on-ramp people in here, and you guys do your URLs a little bit
I've
differently.
been making them in the project as well now too.
Oh, you have?
I started making a second URL folder as well, just to get used to that.
Okay.
Oh yeah. 'Cause the thing is like I don't really know exactly what changes.
Well, I mean, it's just like it seems like you're just treating that original URL rather like a route, just the other one.
Yeah, it's sort of like a prefix, a route prefix. You could kind of think of it as. Okay. So if we go to our urls.py out here in my Semi-Restful folder, we'll just comment out the admin since we're not using that. And then the other function I need to bring in is called what? Anyone remember? What's that? Include. Okay. So the path that we're starting from is just going to be an empty string. And then we're going to invoke this include function. And what are we going to include? So yeah, ours is just called main, so we'll say main.urls. Okay, do I have that file? No, not yet. All right, so I better create that. So let's just go inside main, and let's create a urls.py. I know that I'm going to need this path function, so a lot of times I'll just grab it here, close this file, and then let's import it. Okay. What variable do I need in this file? URL patterns. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to set that up as an empty list for now. All right. So this way we'll kind of go piece by piece and not get ahead of ourselves. All right. So the flow that I'd like to do for this is let's create the template first, then let's create the view function, and then let's add to our urls.py. Does that make sense for you guys? All right. So let's create this template, and it's just going to be the add a new show template. Okay. So we don't yet have a templates folder, so I need to create that. Templates. And then inside that, I'm going to create this, we'll call add show.html. All right. Now, it seems like we've got some kind of a link there. What does the go back do? I guess that's going to go back to the all shows page, right? All right, so I'll just put a little link at the top here. It'll just be an ahref. And then I believe that's going to go to /shows. Okay, cool. Now I need to create this form that I can use to actually create a new show, right? So let's go form like that. All right. What do I want my action to be, you think?
Going to show/create.
I like that. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Let's just do it that way. It's nice and explicit. You know, we're going to create, right? And then my method will be what? It's always going to be post for you guys. No, should be okay if it's lowercase, I think.
Mine is lowercase and it works.
Oh,
Focus not working.
Doesn't?
yeah, I thought I
Sometimes.
rated it.
That's probably why I was doing it in caps, because I've done it in lowercase in a lot of other contexts, and usually it's fine, but it seems like for Django it was giving me some kind of trouble. Not all the time, okay.
So
All right, yeah, I mean, we'll just be consistent, keep it simple. So we also need something inside every form. What is it? Anyone remember? The token. Okay, that dang token. Okay, cool. So let's put some inputs in. Oops, input group. I'm going to say this is the title. Good deal. Oh, not group. What was the next thing I need? Network. Okay. Okay, and then we need a date field for the release date, right? So same thing here. Darn it. Okay, release date. Release date. Okay, and I'm going to change this type to what? Date. Okay. It'll give me kind of a nice little date selector, which will come in handy. All right, and then finally we want to have basically a text area because it's going to be one of those big fields where we can type lots of stuff in. Okay, so we'll say this was description. I'm going to change this to the text area. Description. Okay. And then I need a button to submit the form, right? All right. So we've got our template. Theoretically, this should look fine. And then what do we need to have that will render this template? Got to have a function inside of our views.py to actually render this guy, right? Okay. So I'm going to get super explicit here, and I'm just going to say def add new show page. Okay. That way, there's no possible way that we can sort of get confused, mess it up in our brain what this function is doing. Okay. So what is this function going to do? Do I need any context here or anything else? Any other logic I need to do before I'm rendering the page? Not in this case. Yeah, we don't have a user logged in, so we're not going to show a username or anything like that. So yeah, I'm literally just going to return the result of invoking the render function against the request. And then we're going to call this add show as we did. And I don't have any context, so I'm good there. Okay? So this is part of our flow. We did the template. We did our views function. Now we have to do what? URLs. So you got to add that into our urls.py. So
Is that
let's.
like the pattern that you recommend, like render on the template, hit the URLs, path it, go across your views and create the function? Because that's what I think I struggle with, is like finding like a good pattern when you see like a pretty big wireframe. Is like, do
I think it's going to work very well for us. I mean, we'll know a little bit better as we get deeper into this, but yeah, I think that'll work because that way, if I was going the other way around, which I think I've done a little bit in some of the demos,
where's the template last?
you could potentially crash your app. Because if I add something to my URLs and it depends on a views function that's not there, and I save it, probably going to crash your app.
Yeah, it always complains whenever you go in that order.
Yeah, it'll do stuff like that. So this way we'll go in the order in which we can't possibly crash things, right? All right.
But you can fix it if it crashes.
You can. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying, like, sometimes you guys are in the heat of a test. You know, it could break your flow and cause you some frustration. All right. So I think the URL pattern, if I remember correctly, it's going to be shows/new is what we're looking for, right, for this page. Okay, so shows/new. No, we haven't gotten there. Piece by piece, remember? Okay. And now I need to use this views function, right? Add new show page, right? That's what I called it? Okay. Uh-oh. Squiggly under views. What does that mean?
You haven't
Haven't imported it, right? So from dot import views. Okay. Good deal. Let's try to run the app and let's see if we can get our form on screen. All right. Whoops. Back here. Python manage.py run server. Port is already in use. Oh, stop it. Probably books and authors is using it. Oh, jeez. No. Hold on a second here. God darn it. Yeah. Yeah, bring something. That'd be great. We'd love to have it. It's not books and authors it's using it? Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, I know it was running on that port. Okay, cool. So let's get out of here. Let's go back to Semi-Restful. All right. Let's run this guy. Cool, we're running. So let's just open up the shows/new page. Okay. Sweet. That's a sweet looking form, right? All right. Cool. So we did that for a reason. I didn't even get into the creation part because I wanted to go step by step. Cool. However, now I have this form that's going to need some kind of back-end processing, right? So let's handle that, right? Okay. For this one, we won't have to create any kind of a template. Where do we need to go straight away? So our flow is going to be template, views, and then URLs, right? So if I have no template, where do I go next? Straight to the views, right? We need to add our view function to handle this form. All right, so let's do it. So let's create def create show. All right. What are we going to need to be able to create a show? Context? No, we're not going to be rendering any pages here. Yeah. So in the event that we're dealing with a route that doesn't have a template, we just go straight to views, right? Okay. So now we're creating this create show function. What am I going to need to have access to in order to be able to create a show? Well, I'm going to have access to the post data through this request, right? I'm okay with that. But what else do I need to have? My model, right? Okay, so let's import that. So let's come up here and we'll just say from dot models import show. Okay. And how am I going to create a new show?
The command for it is. Oh, do you want to name your show?
Show.objects.
Like a new show. Yeah, sure.
Let me check real quick where we're going to go after we hit that. So after create, we're going to go to the page for that specific show.
I thought it was going to.
No, yeah, so it tells us it's got an arrow pointing down here. All right, so that's fine. All right, so show.objects.create. What am I going to pass in here? So I've got my title, my network, and all those things, right? So we'll say title equals. Do I want to type out request.post a whole bunch of times? Maybe not. It's kind of sucky. So let's just say I'll create a little variable called post, and I'll set that equal to request.post. Okay, so now I can say post title network, whoops, equals post network. Okay, release date equals post release date. What else do we have? Description, right? Description. Post description. All right. And then what will I generally do after I've successfully created this show? Bless you.
Return.
Oh man, I'm hearing all kinds of things. Quest session. What do I want to do with session at this point? That's an interesting answer.
Well, that's cool. Because I was looking at the movies one. I tried to apply it to the TV show one.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at two different things, trying to compare it.
So let's think about what session does for a second here, because I've seen there's been a lot of confusion about session. What session really is allows us to keep some persistent data as a user's browsing our app. Okay. It's less persistent than database because anything that's in the database is potentially in there for long term until we actually delete something, right? Versus a session is basically only active while that user's browsing the app. So if I wanted to know, say, what was in a user's shopping cart, maybe I'd use session for that, right? But we don't really need it in this case because all we're doing is we're putting something in the more permanent storage in the database. All right. So what do I want to return here? Okay, so how am I going to do that? Redirect. Okay, that's a function, and you'll notice that I've got my squigglies. So we got to actually import this guy. Redirect. All right, and where do we want to redirect to? According to the wireframe, we want to go to this specific show page, the one that we just created. Okay, so how can I do that? We'll get there. I'm not going to create the new template, but let's just make sure that our redirect is set up properly.
Since you have the X, would it be mustaches? Double mustache?
Not double. The double mustache tags only come into play inside of our templates.
Oh, next thing that's right.
In an F string, we would just use a single pair of curly braces.
So that object ID, show ID.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at this here, I'm thinking, well, I didn't actually save a reference to this thing. I just created it. That's it. Maybe we better save a reference to it, right? All right, so let's say we'll call it created show equals that. And then I'll come down here and I'll say created show dot ID.
Can you explain the slashes, how they work in the routing?
Yeah.
Like when you use two, why sometimes you put one in before the variable and sometimes you don't.
Okay, so when we're talking about shows, we can think of this as like, what is the name of the resource that we're trying to find, right? And then the slash after that indicates that we're going to then get more specific by putting an ID after that.
Okay, cool. Makes sense.
Okay. All right, so what this should do, at least initially, is it's going to redirect us to that route, and what kind of page are we expecting to see once we go there? Eventually. Have we built that, though?
No.
So what I'm expecting to see is a yellow page, right?
An error.
What's it going to tell us?
Oh, then
Not
you don't
found.
have it.
It's going to tell us that, yeah, 404 error. That page doesn't exist. All right, and I'll be fine with that because that's what I'm expecting now. All right, cool. So we've got this create show function. Where do I need to go next to link that?
Back to URL.
Back to our URLs, right? Okay, so our path here is going to be shows/create, and then it's views.create show. Oh yeah, I did spell that wrong. It's funny I didn't catch that. What is the word crete? Crete show? C-R-E-T-E. All right.
Greek island.
All right, fair
That's
enough.
what Greek is. Greek rather.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So our app hasn't crashed. We're in good shape. So let's actually try to create a show. Let's come up here. And what show do we want to create?
This is such a good show.
All right. What's the network on that one? Is that USA?
Let's make NCIS.
NCIS? Okay. What would we guess if we had to say the release date of The Office?
But which one are we talking about?
2008? We'll just go 01/01/2008. Okay. Goofy show with Steve Carell. Okay. Let's try to create this guy.
That's fair.
Hey, look! Everything happened exactly as I expected it to. I went to the right URL. I went to shows/1, and I got my yellow page. Sweet. All right.
Now you want to create the
Quick
template?
question.
So yeah, go ahead. Andrew.
Can you go back to the actual
Function?
functions?
Sure.
Right.
So create show on
Yeah,
line 8.
create show. If we're not using anything for create show, I mean, like every time we create a show in this process, right? We just use shows.objects.create.
Show.objects.create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that a good habit to store those created shows into a variables, or it's not necessary?
If I didn't need it, I wouldn't have stored it into a variable, right?
Okay.
If I didn't necessarily need to go to this particular page afterwards, yeah, I probably wouldn't have had to save it to a variable.
So that's only for the purpose because of the redirecting, and you need that ID from.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Because sometimes
Exactly.
I create that into the variables and it keep telling me like I'm not using it. So
Well,
it's
were
like,
you using it?
I'm not using. The
If you're not
create
using it, then you don't need it, right?
and that's just for the.
It's just for the purpose of
URLs.
going to the proper URL and the redirect. That's it.
And we're not using that somewhere else in the templates or any other functions.
No.
And the purpose of the f string is to invoke the ID.
Purpose of the F string is so that I can concatenate /shows/ and this ID right here. Now I could also do it a different way using string concatenation, but if I do it that way, I actually need to convert this into a string. Because what kind of what is the ID? Is it a string or is it an integer? It's an integer. So normally if I'm doing string concatenation, so if I have one string and I'm saying plus some other thing, it will give me an error if I just tried to do plus created show.id because that's an integer. An F string won't give you an error. This will work.
Right.
Okay. But again, you don't have to do it that way. You could do it the other way. You just have to convert that ID into a string. All right. Cool. So I think that makes sense. Since we've hit this yellow page, why don't we knock out that yellow page? We know it's not going to be hard. It's just a details page anyway, right? All right. So let's go to our templates. And I'm going to create show details. .html. Get some HTML in there, and then this is supposed to look like what? So I'm going to have the name of the show up here. I'm going to have a go back link, and then I'm going to have a bunch of things down here.
Pretty much the same context we had before.
Yeah, so it says TV show 2. All right, you guys are going to have to help me through this.
Did you want to the idea?
All right, so go back is going to take us where? That's going to take us back to the all shows page, right? Okay. Okay, and then down here we're going to have an H1 that says TV show, and then we're trying to output the show's ID, right?
So you just do.
So let's decide, what are we going to call the show inside the template? I'll leave that up to you guys. Okay, so you want to call the show show.
Or
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that doesn't confuse anyone.
Or individual show, like what added specificity.
Individual show, all right. Does this bot with camel case? Hey,
Damn.
we're in Python land here.
Okay,
All right, individual show.id, and then underneath that, I know I'm going to need to have the title. So I'll have a p tag here, and then I think looked something like that, right? Individual show dot title. Okay, and then we probably want to do the same thing for the network. So I'll just go down, down. Change that to network. Network. Release date. Oh, man, this is so tedious. Yeah. Release date. Okay. And then under there, what do we need? We need the description too, and then the last updated. Okay. So let me duplicate that down. Description. Description. All right. One more thing, and then we've got updated at. Okay. Updated at. Okay, and then finally we've got a couple links down at the bottom, or last updated, it's supposed to say. Finally, we have a couple links, edit and delete. All right. Change this real quick. So ahref, I'm going to do the edit one. What's that going to look like as far as the href goes? So according to the URL here, our edit page should be shows/id/edit. Okay. Cool. How am I going to put the ID in here? Double curlies, individual show .id /edit. Okay. And I'm actually going to duplicate this down and just change it for delete. Okay. And then I'll just change the end of my route to be delete as well. Okay. So that looks pretty good.
Anything I want to ask is about when you're actually naming the individual show. You pick kind of whatever you want in terms of like what makes sense to you, and then how does it know to?
Nope.
So we haven't done the function.
We haven't done that.
Before, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's what I want.
Yeah, we haven't even made it yet.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. So let's say we're pretty good with this template. We think it's going to be all right. Now, where do we need to go next? Views. Okay. So I'm going to create a function for this. So we'll call this def show details. Okay. Take in the request. And what am I going to need before I render out this page? I'm going to need some context, right? I need my template to now have access to individual show because inside the template I'm referencing this variable.
Oh, yeah, so you'll call it inside the context.
Okay, so inside the context dictionary, I need to say individual show here. That's the reference that we need. Okay, so we're going to make that connection. So how am I going to get this specific show? Show.objects.get. Okay, ID equals what?
Whatever the ID is.
Yeah, indeed. Whatever the ID is, where am I going to get that from?
You're carried into that function somehow.
Yeah, how?
Request, like second
From
argument.
the URL.
Show that ID.
Yeah, from the URL.
It's going to come from the URL, which means that it's going to have to be passed into this function as well as the second argument, right? All right, so let's put that over here, show underscore ID. And now I'm going to say where ID equals show ID. So we can almost like think of this as a MySQL query, right? Like select all from shows where ID equals show ID. Kind of reads the same way. Cool. Now that we have our context, all we need to do is just render that template, right? All right, so let's do it. Return render reptor. Okay. Yeah, and it's going to be called show details.html, and then I also need to pass in this context as well. All right. So now we should be able to go to our page and actually see something. Or not. Oh, whoa, I keep forgetting. We're not done with our flow yet. Woo! All right, let's go back to our URLs. Got ahead of myself. All right, so our path is going to be shows / what? No, we're not doing the edit page right now. We're doing the details, remember? So it's just going to be shows / ID, but how am I going to do the ID? Because I don't know what it is yet.
Oh, it's the integer?
Yeah, we're going to use int.
Oh,
We're going to use angle brackets. Yeah, so we need to say int. And then what do I need to put after this colon? Show ID, because that's what I called it in the function. Very important that those things match. Okay. All right. And then views.show details.
So this show ID shows up is from the original one we created, but it's different than the individual show ID that we have in the function for that template.
Doesn't that have to do with the concatenated string that we have? The F on? Like the
Yeah, so in this case, it is the very first show that we created. It has an ID of 1, right? But presumably, this page will be able to work for any ID that we feed it. Now, if I fed it an ID of 3 or something like that, what do you guys think is going to happen then?
so probably a 404 because we don't have a third ID.
It's not going to be a 404. What kind of error do you think that might generate? A 404 would mean that the URL simply didn't exist, right? Yeah. So the kind of error that we would get is we would have a problem inside of our views, which is that we're trying to get a show with an ID of 3. That show doesn't exist. So you'd get an error from this right in here. Okay? Yeah. So we're not going to do an ID of 3. We're just going to stick to the ID of 1 because we know that that's actually in there. All right. Let's try this again. Hey, that looks good. And then down here, if I roll over these links, let's see if these are what you guys probably can't see those very well, but yeah, it is shows /1/edit, which is what we want, and this is shows /1/delete. Yeah, I mean, you really can't see it very well. Sorry about that. Okay, so where do we want to go next? Maybe handle this delete guy? That's my bet because that's going to be so easy. Right? Like sometimes it's nice to go for some easy wins and just get stuff knocked out. It's like now I'm in the flow. I feel good, you know. So let's handle that, right?
Creating a function? Or?
Yeah. So this time, this is one of those cases where again we're not building a template for this. We're just gonna have a function that will handle it. That's it. All right. So let's go create it in our views.
Pretty simple, right? Just like a dot flush.
It's going to be very easy. Delete show. It's going to take in a request, and what else do you think I need to take in?
Show ID.
Some show ID, because I need to know what show I'm going to delete. Okay. Now I can save a reference to that particular show when I go and get it. I can say show equals show dot objects dot get ID equals show ID. And again, we can be nice and explicit. We can say show to delete if we want. Now after that, what am I going to do?
Show to delete
Dot delete. We're going to call this method delete to actually eliminate that record in our database.
and save or no?
We don't have to on a delete.
Oh.
On an update, yeah, we do need to save. Okay, cool. So where do we need to go after we're done with this? Does it tell us?
That's the dashboard.
Yeah, delete link deletes the show from the database and redirects back to the main shows page.
So return render.
Yeah, return a redirect, and we'll just go to /shows, right? All right, cool. Now, what else do I need to do? I'm done with my views function. Now what? URLs. Let's keep this flow going. So we'll go over here. We'll say the path. I'm actually going to be lazy and copy this down. Path is going to be shows/ID/delete, right? And then we'll change this to delete show. All right, let's test it out. By the way, what am I expecting to happen once I click this delete link? Where am I going to end up? Yeah, but what's that going to look like?
One less show.
Empty. What?
Oh, it is nothing.
404.
Something.
You guys keep forgetting we haven't built that page.
Oh.
I don't even have it.
My bad.
Yeah, so we're going to end up at a yellow page. So not to be alarmed, that's totally expected, right? All right, so let's try it. There we go. Back at /shows, and we don't have that page yet. So naturally, my next inclination is, all right, well, let's create it then. All right? Cool. Let's look at what we need to have for that page. So all I'm seeing here is just an all shows heading, and then we're going to have a table that has all of our shows, and then underneath that, we'll have an add a new show link. Okay? So let's go up into our templates folder. What do we want to call this? All shows? All shows. Cool. Some HTML. And then our H1 will be all shows. I'm going to do the link down below, get that out of the way. So that's going to go to shows/new, right? Add a show. All right, and then we've got this table. Let's see how much stuff we've got in here. So you got the ID, the title, the network, the release date, and some actions. Whew. All right, let's build it. So I'm going to do a t-head, a t-row, a th times 5, up 2 levels, a t-body, a t-row, and a td times 5. Isn't that nice? And then I can tab through these guys as well too. So I can go title, network, release date, and then actions. Cool. Yeah, and you have it. It's just emit autocomplete. It's not anything you need to install. All right. All right, guys. So how am I going to loop through all of my shows? A for loop, right? So inside my t-body, I'm going to create, I've got this little snippet that I built here. So we'll say for show in shows. All right, I'm fine with that as long as it's cool with you guys. All right, now let's bring this, this tr up inside there. Good. What do I want to put inside this first TD? The ID. So how am I going to output that?
show.id.
There we go. Good. I'll just duplicate this out a few times. So we want the title. We want the network. Release date. Okay, and then we had those actions, so that's, we're going to do something different for that, right? So I'll just open up this TD here, and then we want to have show, edit, and delete, okay? So the show link, let me just put show inside there. What is the URL for that going to be? It's going to be the shows / the ID of that specific show, right? So I need to go double curlies again, show.id. Okay, and then we could put a little pipe in there if we want. All right, the next one was what? Edit? Yeah, edit. So I'm going to have an edit link here, and then I'm going to grab this URL, and then I'm just going to append edit to the end of that. Yes, question.
What is a pipe?
Absolutely nothing. It's just kind of a separator for our links. That's it.
Oh, the
Put that at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's just separating the different things. Yes, Andrew?
We're doing the loops here.
Mhm.
Instead for show it shows. That shows. Did you create that before or?
Have we done our
Just do that
views.py yet?
No.
No, we haven't done. We haven't actually done the function that's going to render this page. So we'll get there.
But yeah. So like, okay, cool.
All right. So we've got our edit there, and then we also want to have a delete link, right? So I'll put this little pipe in here, and just copy this guy down as well. I'll add delete to the end of that. Okay. Okay, and then I don't need the pipe at the end, so that's fine. Okay, cool. So that looks pretty good. It looks like the ID was supposed to be linkable. Did you guys notice that? All right, like we should be able to click on that ID.
but then that's the same as show.
I know. All right, well I'm gonna wrap this with an A tag. Check this out. Command-Shift-P, wrap with abbreviation. A. There we go. All right. Now we're going to go same thing, right? Shows / show.id. Okay. Very good. Cool. So that's all done. Let's say our template's in good shape, or at least we think. Now where do we need to go next? Views to create the function to render this guy, right? So I'm going to create a function called all shows. Shows. Take in the request. Anything else I need? Context, right? Because this page is actually going to render something out. So let's create this context dictionary. And then we'll say shows, because I believe that's what we called in the template. And what's that going to be equal to? Good. All right. Now let's just render the template, right? So return render request. Template will be all shows.html. Pass in that context. Okay. Are we done yet? URLs. Very good. So let's go back to that. There is a pattern, yeah. So we're following a very clear-cut guideline so that we don't get thrown off by anything. Okay, views.allShows. Okay, now that page that we ended up yellow, we should be able to refresh this and actually see something, right? Cool. And that's what we're expecting because we did just delete the first show that we created, right? So maybe we should recreate that so that we don't have an empty page like this. The Office USA 0101 2008 Goofy Show with Steve Carell. All right, good. There it is. So if I go back, I should go to the All Shows page. That's looking good. Everything's great, right? The only thing we haven't done yet is the edit page. Cool, I can handle that. So let's go create a new template for the edit page. Inside here, edit show, we'll call it. All right, and let's look at what the edit page is supposed to have. Boy, it looks mighty similar to the create page, right?
So
Almost identical.
just copy paste that code and update the button a little bit.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what I want to do. I don't know about you guys.
I'm feeling that too.
All right, yeah, let's look at our add new show page, add show. And I'm going to grab this form here. We got to be careful because some things will need some update, so that's all right. And let's just drop that in there. What else do we need here? Oh, then there's a little go to show link. Edit show. Okay, so let's put this up at the top. So I've got an H1. It's going to say edit show, and it looks like the ID is in there. So I'm going to go double mustache show.id, right? And then down here, it was something like go to show. So the URL again will be shows/the ID, show.id, and then go to show. All right, very good. So now what am I going to need to change about this form? How about the action? Okay. So I'm going to create a URL that looks something like this, shows/whatever the ID of the show is. So I'm going to put that in with double curlies. And then I'm going to call this route update. Okay. All right. Now the other thing that I want to do, because I want to actually see the current data that's in the database in those form inputs. It's kind of ridiculous to make a user like retype that stuff in or see the page and not know what the current values are, right? So let's put those in there. So if I put value inside title here, how can I specify that? Show.what? Title. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Cool. And now I can do the same thing for the other inputs. Yeah, exactly. So value here, double show.network. Okay, great. Same thing here. Show.release date. All right. Description's a little bit different because I can't put a value inside a text area tag. But what I can do is I can put it in between the opening and the closing tags, and it will show up the way I'm expecting. All right. So let's just drop it in there. Show.description. Okay. That looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything else we need to change about this form, right?
Patty, the submit should be updated, but like the button.
Oh yeah, sure. We can change that. Update. Cool. All right. By the way, it's probably never anything that I would check on the test. Like, oh man, your button doesn't say update. Back to the drawing board. No. Yeah. So I think we're okay. All we've done was we updated the route, right? And then we just added in those values so the user will see what the current values are. All right.
For the test, does CSS play a big part?
It doesn't play any part.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah. It matters not at all because
Okay, cool.
that's not something I want you guys focusing on. All right. Now that we have this, where's the next step in our flow?
URLs?
Not yet.
Oh, views.
We gotta go to the views, right? All right, where is our views? Here it is. Okay, so we'll just call this def edit show. Fair enough. I need to take in the request. What else?
Show it.
I need the show ID to say what show we're editing, right? Okay. So before I render this template, what am I going to need? Context. The template needs to know about the show. Okay, so we'll say show, and what am I going to set that equal to? dot all.
Yeah.
What?
Uh,
No, I want to get this specific show, right?
right.
Yeah.
So ID equals show ID.
So ID equals show underscore ID. Okay. Now all I need to do is just render my template, right? Render request edit show with the context. All right, am I done yet?
URLs.
URLs. All right, the flow continues. So let's go up here, and I'm gonna go. Whoops! I almost forgot a comma. Be careful about those commas. All right. Yeah, it's very important, and you'll get a syntax error that is sometimes very hard to debug.
So we have to put that.
Yeah. So let's put in this int show ID edit. Okay, and then this is going to be views.edit show. Cool. Let's see if we can get this working.
You got one of your angle brackets.
Did I? Oh, you're absolutely right. Nice catch. Okay, so let's click on edit and let's see where we go here. Oh no, template does not exist. Did I call it the wrong thing? Edit show. Hold on a sec. Oh, geez, I forgot the .html. Jeez. Why is it still asking for that? Okay. There we go. Ooh, this looks nice too, because we're seeing this, and this. Oh. Oh, man. What happened there? I'll show you guys. It's just kind of a small little quirk about date inputs. But if you see here, the value for this is January 1, 2008. The date input is expecting it to look a little bit different. I'll show you how to do it, but I don't want you guys to stress about this because it's not a requirement, you know, for red belt passing or whatever. But basically what we need to do is we need to make a small change to the release date before we send it on over to the template. Okay? So instead of just doing it inside the context, I'm going to create a variable called show. I'm going to set it equal to this. And then I'm going to say show.releaseDate equals show.releaseDate.strf time. Okay? And then inside this, what I can do is I can tell it, what did I do wrong? Oh, that's a spell check. Okay, so inside here I can specify how do I want this date to be formatted, because that's what it is, right? It was an actual date. So I'm going to say I want it to be capital Y for a 4-digit year, hyphen, lowercase m for the month, 2-digit month, and then hyphen D. I don't want you guys to worry.
Yeah,
Why is it a different color? Yeah, don't even worry about this, all right? Just going to show you to see that you can make it work, that's all. All right, so let's go back to the template. Let's see if we're getting the date. Oh, there we go. Kind of nice.
So you could leave the context blank, and it'll still end.
No, I didn't leave it blank. I put show back in there. So I set a variable
show
equal to the
equals
show
to
that we got, and then I just, yeah. All right. So we're good. All right, so now what we need to be able to do is, now that we have our edit page up and running, we have to be able to handle the edit submission, right? Okay. So does that require us to build a template? No. No, definitely not, right? All right. So we'll call this def update show. What's this going to take in? The request and what else? Show ID. Okay, fair enough. I need to get this show first that I'm going to update, so I got to go show equals show dot objects dot get where ID equals show underscore ID. Okay. Now I also want to make some changes to it, so I'll probably do something like I'm going to save a reference to request.post, request.post, and then we're going to say show.title equals post title. Okay, and then we'll say show.network equals post network. Show.release date. You guys get the drift? Post release date. Now notice here that I haven't been getting like fancy or tricky with my input names. I'm making them exactly the same as what I had in my models. If you don't, you're bound to run into some problems. All right. So release date's there, and then finally the other thing that we had was description, right? Equals post description. Okay, what do I have to do after I've changed all these fields? Save. Gotta do that. Save. Okay. And then where's the wireframe telling us to go after we edit? So successful update redirects to that show's individual page. So we want to go here, right? Okay. So how am I going to do that? Turn redirect, and then that's going to go to shows slash what? Okay, now I'm going to need another F string, right? All right, so let's put that in there, and then inside there we'll say show underscore ID. Okay, so our views is done. Where do we need to go next? URLs. Every time. All right, and then the pattern was just going to be the same, almost the same as this. I'm just going to slightly change it. So we'll say shows slash ID slash update. In fact, I'll just change these two in one shot. Did you see that? It was just Command D to select the next occurrence of it too. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we haven't gotten to validations yet, right? Remember I said that was the icing on the cake?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see if we can at least get the update working. So if I want to change this to the not office. See if we could do that. Oh, we did. The not office. So that's working. Cool. Do we want to add validations on both edit and add? Oh yeah, same validations apply. Oh, sweet. We're in luck. All right, what are the validations? So they're saying titles should be at least 2 characters, network should be at least 3 characters, description should be at least 10 characters. All right. So where are we going to do our validations? I'm going to close out some of these files so that I don't get confused. Where do the validations start, though? Oh, man, I still haven't heard the right answer. Models. There we go, right? We want to start from the back. Okay, we got to create that manager, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's create it. Class show manager, and that's going to inherit from models.manager. Okay. Inside there, I'm going to have some kind of function that's just going to do my validations for me. So we'll call it def basic validator, just to kind of keep it consistent. What's that going to take in? Self, good, and some post data. Oh, geez, not post date. What am I saying? What am I saying? I don't know why I'm doing that. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an errors dictionary inside here, right?
So this one you just equal the blanks and you don't space between them, right? Yeah, like that, okay. Like you don't start typing out your stuff in between the brackets.
Right, so initially our errors dictionary is going to be completely empty, right? Potentially we'll have to add some things to it if a user fails our validation. All right, so let's do some different checks, right? We want the title to be at least 2 characters. Okay, so I'll do something like if post data title, I'm sorry, is less than, I did it again. You're right. Okay, so if the length, len, of that is less than 2, then we'll say errors at title equals please enter at least 2 characters for the title. Okay. The next thing I want is network. I think they're saying 3 characters on that. Yeah. Okay. So if len of post data network is less than 3, errors network equals please, oh man, please enter 3 characters or more for the network. I've had people do like some funny messages in these too, just to be clever, you know. All right, and then the description has to be at least 10, right? So I'm feeling super lazy. Whoa, that wasn't good. I need to select all these lines and then duplicate it, right? Okay, so let me select network here, description. I'll change this to 10 or more for the description. Okay, and then what do I need to do at the end of this function? Return that errors dictionary that I've been making, right? Okay, cool. Now, where do I want to go next to actually start applying these validations? Views, I heard it over here. Yeah, we want to go to our views to actually use it, right? There's one thing I almost forgot to do, and then I remembered it. What is it? No? We actually don't have we actually don't have to migrate for validations. What did I forget to do here? Is our show.objects going to have that basic validator on it?
Oh, the diff. We have to make the diff.
No, I'm still not hearing it. This could throw you guys off. There you go. Yeah, so my manager's not yet connected to my show class, right? Yeah, how do we do that?
I forgot what I did.
Wait, there's a way.
It's like this, right? Objects equals user manager.
Yes. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to create this objects and set it equal to show manager. There it is, right? I'm creating a new instance of the show manager class. All right, cool. Now we can safely go over on to our views, views.py. Okay, and then inside the views.py, what routes do I need to validate on? Here's one right here, create show, right? Okay. Yeah, basically those two guys, right? Create and the update part too. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see if this data is valid before I even get down here to create the show, right? So we're going to say errors equals the result of calling show.objects.basicValidator. And what am I going to pass in? Post, right there. So that's the actual post data. Okay. So then what I want to check is, does this errors dictionary have any key value pairs in it? Okay. So I'll do something like if len of errors is greater than 0, that means that I did not pass validation, right? Something went wrong. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to loop through all the key value pairs in my errors dictionary and add those using the messages framework. Okay, so we're going to do something like this. For error in errors.values. Okay, so that will allow me to grab each error value. I don't really care about the key so much in this case. And then I need to say messages.error. I always have to pass the request. And then I'm going to pass the actual error, whatever it was. So whatever that string was that I created in my basic validator function, right? Yep, so we have to do that, and you'll see that we've got this little yellow squiggly here, undefined variable. So I'm going to come up here, and I created a snippet for this because I never remember where it comes from. It comes from Django.contrib. Contrib. Okay, and then once we've looped through all those errors and added them to the messages, what do we probably want to do then? Let's redirect, right? Let's take them back to the creation page so that we can show them the errors. All right, so we'll say return redirect, and then where are we going to take them? Shows/new. We want to take them to that page where they're seeing the creation form, right? Okay. All right, cool. Now, finally, the other thing that I want to do is I need to make some changes on that new page to actually show the errors, right? So let's go to our add show page. And up here, above the form, I'm just going to loop through these errors. So I'll do my little for each Python thing. So we're going to say for error in what? You guys know? No. I don't have a context of errors right now, right?
Double curly.
All right. It's messages. We have access to this by default in the Django framework. They're giving us access to the messages. So if there are any messages when we render this page, they'll show up in here if we loop through them. Okay. So for each one, all I want to do is just, not that. All right. All I want to do is just double curly error itself, right? And then if I want to style it up, color red. All right, that looks pretty good. Anything else? Are we ready to go with create validations? I think so. I think so. So let's go back to the page. Let's try to create one with, so if we go back, add a show. Let's just create empty ones. There we go. That looks good. So we've got validations. All we really need to do is kind of copy this to the other template, and then we need to copy that code from that function to the other rendering function, right, for the edit page. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay. So first, since we're in the HTML already, I'm just going to grab this guy. And we want to put that also in the edit show page, so above this form. Okay, and then I also need to add it to my update function, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to grab all of this stuff, and we'll make one small change on the redirect. That's pretty much it. So we'll go like this, grab that code, come down to the update, which was where? Down here. Paste that in. And then where are we going to redirect them if they fail validation on the edit part? Not the create page. We're going to go back to the edit page for that specific show, right? All right. Because we've got the show ID up here, so we can use that very easily. Or we can also use show.id. We also have that. It's up to you. So let's just create a little f string here. Shows, and then I'm going to pass in show underscore ID slash edit, right? That should take me back to the actual edit page. All right, so we're good to go. Let's go back and try to edit this guy. And here I'm just going to delete the fields. Oh, crap. Delete that too. Update. There we go. We are.
That was a good one.
Yeah, took a long time, but man, it was very thorough. It was very step by step. We never really got confused. You know.
Go back to HTML page.
Sure. Which one?
The error messages.
Oh, I see. For the edit show page like this.
We're definitely not going to
It's
do
just
it.
an arrow itself.
Cool. Glad it was helpful. So.
Not only did you kind of get everything, you got the pattern as well.
Mhm.
The pattern is pretty important.
Yeah, because I think this way, if you guys kind of like follow a routine every single time, you can't get too far thrown off. You know, it's like, all right, I know what I need to do. I got to create my template, then I got to create my views function, then I got to create my URL.
I guess it, but like obviously, if you already had like a long and reg kind of set up for you, that would kind of throw off your pattern, right? Because it's already coming with plenty of URLs and views. So you're trying to kind of keep going.
Well, only in the sense of
It's not really.
you'd have a few things built already,
Right.
but from that point forward, you could
start
still
doing
follow
that.
the pattern.
Yeah, right.
That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking when I was saying it. So.
Should I leave the login stuff, login pages, those kind of stuff after this, after everything's set up? Would that be easy?
You know, I wouldn't recommend leaving it to the end, and the reason why is because oftentimes your data is going to be connected to a user in the
Okay.
exam. So
So
yeah, you don't
longer
want
version.
to like connect it later. Then you might have problems with migrations.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do this 5 times today.
Just using the foreign keys to make the user.
Yeah, because the foreign key is going to become important, and it's not that you couldn't do the migrations. It's just that you might run into some errors, and that tends to fluster people. So, yeah, cool. Any final questions, Ashton?
I just don't know, like, the F string, I don't know when to put it at and when to not put it at. Like, when you're, I think you're redirecting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I just don't
The
know.
only reason we need to put an F in front of this is because we had some variable that we wanted to include inside of that string. If I didn't, if it was just like, for instance, where were we redirecting without an F string? Like here on line 39, for instance. I don't need an F string because I'm not trying to put a variable inside that string.
So the F
Right.
string would only be needed if you're using variable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And again, you can also do a different way, but I think the F string is kind of like the most user friendly, personally. All right, you guys feel good about this? I do too.
It was
Let's
great.
wrap it up.